Welcome back to Nathan Sports Talks episode 9. It's March, and that means only one time. It's time for March Madness. That is right. March Madness is here, starts tomorrow. We've seen a couple rounds of 68 go through. Colorado State and Wagner, the big winners there. Let's talk about my bracket, some sleepers I've got, maybe who I think's going to win, some of the favorites. Let's get into it. But before we get into it here in episode 9, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what I should talk about. I'll maybe highlight my bracket once play gets started and keep you guys updated on how I'm doing. But let's get into it. I've got about 20 brackets, so I've got some different viewpoints. And we'll start right away with some of my most anticipated matchups, some of those harder games for you guys to pick. Those 8-9 games have been really difficult. Usually a team or two stands out. For me, at the 8 or 9 spot, Michigan State has been real consistent there. I just don't think Mississippi State can hang with MSU, who's really got experience behind Izzo. That squad's sneaky underseeded. I know they didn't play great in the regular season. I still think they're going to be a problem. And when they see UConn in the next round, that's going to be an interesting matchup to keep an eye on. Upset potential there. Other 8-9s, I've gone back and forth on A&M and Nebraska. Really like the Cinderella story for Nebraska. And then I flipped to FAU Northwestern. I flip-flopped those. FAU with more experience than Northwestern. However, I think Northwestern and Mr. Bowie can really make a statement run. The other 8-9 game, of course, you can see behind me, so you guys already know who I'm personally going with, but I've heard a lot of people are struggling with it. TCU, Utah State, really a toss-up. Utah State's really solid. That Mountain West has been rated really high this season, but TCU plays in a very difficult Big 12 conference. I like the pace we run at. I think we run Utah State out of the gym. That's my pick, of course. Now we move on to more upset potential games I like to highlight for upset potential. Of course, I'm looking at TCU. Might be a little biased, but I think TCU, you look at how they want to speed up the game, and they have almost a 7-footer in Uday Jr. And Jacoby Coles. You look at them, and they match up well against a Purdue team that is known for not performing well in March. I think we can easily see if TCU overcomes Utah State, they can upset Purdue. Then they get a look at a Gonzaga team that is not how they have been in the past. They saw them last year, so they can counter them a little better this year. Or a Kansas team, realistically, or some upset contenders. I really think we could see TCU make a run to the Elite Eight. That's not just through bias, though. That's just the fact of the matter that the Midwest is kind of matched up well for a TCU squad. If they overcome this Utah State test, they could be good. Some other teams I want to keep out for. Oregon, really underseeded. They take on South Carolina. Love Oregon to pull off an upset there. New Mexico has been really highly rated. Don't mind a little bit of a run from the Lobos. They'll get Clemson in the first round, who might be a little bit higher seeded than where they actually are. I also don't mind all the 12 seeds, really. The only one that I'm very hesitant on is UAB over San Diego State. I just think San Diego State is a much better team. Besides that, James Madison. They've proven they can win against better competition. They beat MSU earlier in the season. Really like them to take down Wisconsin. Moving on, I really like Grand Canyon's chances at making a little bit of run. They get Bama, who's a little hot cold. They get St. Mary's in the first round, who plays really good defense. But can they hang with the Antelopes? And then the other 12 seed, McNeese, they really have been rated as one of the better teams to make a possible Cinderella run. They get the Gonzaga, as I mentioned, not a full Gonzaga team, but still, I like their chances. Former Horned Frog there in Shahada Wells. Would love to see a TCU Shahada Wells reunite in the round of 16. Another game I really like to circle, Drake. They've been another team I've seen a lot of brackets go far. Really like the potential of Drake to upset Washington State and then even make a statement run to beat Iowa State. From there, maybe they get Illinois, BYU. They can beat either of those squads. We could see the Cinderella in Drake proving why they made it, and Indiana State did not. Really do wish Indiana State was in here. They were a great sleeper team. We'll move on, though. Another big upset I'd like to point out happens tonight, kind of to focus that. I think between the Boise State-Colorado game tonight, if Colorado wins, I love their upset potential over Florida. They've got Eddie Lampkin Jr., another former Horned Frog. He's really got the size and strength. He's been in March twice already. And you're seeing other guys like Williams and some other guys on that Colorado team that can make a run. They're a really underseeded team, a 10 seed, a little bit disrespectful. Like their chances to make a run, maybe upset Marquette, and then get a date with Kentucky, who's been very hot cold. So, some really good matchups I've already mentioned to watch. The big upsets I've kind of talked there. So now, where do I really think the winners are going to come from? And really, I'd like to think UConn. Everybody says UConn. They're built for March. They've really got one of the best teams in the nation. They're built for this time of the year. They're primed for a deep run. I like their chances to at least make the Final Four, to maybe win it all. That's one of my top teams to win it. Alongside them, Houston, of course, I'm going 1-2, but Houston, phenomenal all season. Sure, they played some really good competition, had a little bit of a bumpy track. We saw what Iowa State did to them. However, I love the potential that they have. They've got a tough division. We'll see if they make it out. The other teams I want to mention, UNC, Arizona, I lump those two together because they are in the same side of the bracket. However, Arizona, Caleb Love, can he get the revenge game? I like the potential there of the revenge game between the two, seeing each other, seeing who can prevail. Really like Arizona's chances to go far in this one if they can get past a UConn in the round of 4. Baylor, sneaky good. Don't necessarily know if they can make that deep run, though. They're a little inconsistent and a little bit on the younger side. Another team I like to shout out, Kentucky. I know they're hot cold, but those two freshmen, if they are cruising in March, you're looking at Dillingham, and if they really get cruising, they could make a statement. I don't mind them going to the Final Four, maybe winning this all if everything clicks at the right time and they don't play really wishy-washy basketball. Finally, another team I'd love to shout out is not Purdue, because I just think Purdue is way too prone to upset in March Madness. You just can't trust Purdue. I've heard it time in, time out, and I bank on Purdue a lot. They've let me down the last couple of years. Can't do it anymore. I'm learning my lesson. Creighton. Really think Creighton is a team to watch out for. I know a couple people have kind of hinted at them, or Tennessee. I really think Creighton, they were a possession away from making the Final Four last year. Love their chances to go, make a statement run, and make their impact felt. Big East, this might be their tournament where a couple Big East teams find their way in. Marquette's pretty solid. Don't know if they're going to make that big of a jump, though. Tennessee, as I mentioned, solid. Purdue, we'll skip over that. I just think Zach Edey, if somebody figures out how to shut down Zach Edey, it's over for the Boilermakers, because the rest of that team really struggles offensively. Overall, I really like those teams that I mentioned. Houston, Arizona, UConn, Creighton. I also don't mind UNC making a run. I could also see guys like Marquette maybe surprising us. My biggest sleeper pick would probably be either Drake making that Cinderella run. James Madison has that potential. I don't even mind Duke. I just think they got put in a really bad situation where they have Houston, James Madison, Wisconsin if they win. It's just a tough road for the Blue Devils. And overall, those are my takes. Those are my picks. Not disclosing exactly who I think is going to win, because I can see a lot of different outcomes. This year has really felt like it's anybody's game that could really take it all. Really like this. I'm really excited to get going. I'll keep you guys posted on my bracket on hopefully a weekly basis. But until episode 10, I'll see you again real soon. Enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully your bracket doesn't get busted in the first couple rounds. Best of luck. We'll see you again next week. Have a good one.